Hang on, guys. I am trying to set this up. This is my first time. Am I not able to do this? I'm trying to find velocity right now, guys. But I'm afraid this doesn't have it. Interesting. Is there not velocity? That is literally something I need. Okay, I'm gonna have to try this. Alright. Let's see this real quick. This is not... What's up, Marie? Is it gone? This is a really bad website, but I'm having to use it until I can get an actually good one. There's a lot of storms going through Iowa and Missouri right now. They don't look tornadic at the moment, but I could be wrong. Let's click on this storm right here. Okay, these storms going through Missouri and Iowa don't look to be tornadic at the moment. They're not rotating, they just seem to be lines of storms. The big risk I am looking out for tomorrow, and I will be streaming tomorrow. There is currently a slight risk for all of Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, northern Louisiana, northwestern Missouri, western Tennessee, and western Kentucky. Along with that, there is a 5% tornado risk, encompassing most of Arkansas. The 2% goes all the way from Indiana all the way down to northeastern Texas. There's also a 15% hail risk all the way from southern Missouri all the way to DFW area. Along with the 2% going from central Texas all the way to Missouri. There's also a fairly large wind risk. I would not be surprised if they set this up to be a 30% in the future. Along with a 10% enhanced, but I would not be surprised if they up this soon. Um, goes all the 15% goes all of Arkansas, some of Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and Oklahoma. Now they were forecasting this all the way from day 5, which is a pretty far out prediction. And I was actually expecting this to be more of a moderate to high risk because of how far out the prediction was. But I will be streaming tomorrow about this storm. I will be watching these. The area I will be watching is mainly the central Arkansas. Since that's where the biggest threat of storms will be, especially with that 10% tornado risk. I'm sorry, 5% tornado risk. Please forgive me. If I can, there we go. Mainly like this area of Arkansas, maybe through Texarkana to Jonesboro, I will be watching out for storms. Tomorrow at around 3 o'clock, maybe. But at the moment, there's not too many significant storms. Just a couple of like lines of storms in Missouri at this moment. None of them look to be tornadic. Just maybe some high winds. I could recheck that for you though. Hold on. Actually, they've moved off. Hold on. This is just really bad. Okay, there we go. So like if you go to this storm right here, this one looks like a GC storm. There's a big hail core in this one. There's not to seem to be no, it does not seem to be tornadic. Or anytime soon actually. Just high straight line winds. This one that I'm currently looking at is going west of Bethany, maybe going towards Eagleville. And this will be going up into Decatur County, Iowa. I will probably be streaming most of the day tomorrow for these weather events. Since it's a very high risk, if you're new to the stream, we've got a slight risk for all of Arkansas, Missouri, some of Missouri, Illinois, tiny portion of Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, that whole circle of states. Tornado risk, 5% for most of Arkansas, a little bit of Missouri, Louisiana. I think that's Mississippi actually too. Tennessee and Kentucky, far western Kentucky. Cities impacted would be Little Rock. I think that's what's that one called? Memphis, I think. Those are the most populated cities in the 5%. The 2% will affect anywhere from Indianapolis, maybe like up there, whatever's up there. I get those two cities mixed up. Jackson and I'm gonna say Tulsa. That's pretty close to Tulsa, and I'm gonna say that's pretty close to DFW as well. The hail risk actually is weirdly shifted to the west more than the tornado, which is kind of something you don't see very often. So this hail risk is for Missouri, some of Arkansas, north to eastern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and the very, very tip of Kansas, the southeast tip of Kansas. It's actually shifted more towards the DFW area than, like, way more. Cities impacted are DFW, Tulsa, Little Rock, and any other small city between those three. For the wind risk, it's a pretty large wind risk. I'd say DFW would be affected. Tulsa. What's that? Is that St. Louis? Yeah, that's St. Louis. St. Louis, Little Rock, possibly Jackson. Yeah, Jackson, Memphis, and I can never think of that other city name. And it's so large that it actually spreads out to Cincinnati. I think that is, Indianapolis, all those cities. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they up the risk to a enhanced risk because of how big the slight risk is. I'll definitely keep an eye on this throughout tomorrow. Currently, just a line of storms, nothing insane, no tornadoes, just high winds, mostly in Missouri and Iowa. This freaking website, I hate this website. Find a good radar. No. If we go to Iowa here, here's a line of storms. There's no... Ooh, okay. But, yeah. Hang on. Let me just load for a sec. Currently, there is a couple of high wind watches / warnings. High wind watch for Montana, northern Montana. I'm assuming into Canada as well. High wind warning for Wyoming, weirdly enough. Freeze watch for most of this area. And a freeze warning right here for parts of New Mexico. There's a tiny flood warning for this part of South Dakota. But there's no significant severe thunderstorm warnings, nothing like that. Oh, I didn't even see that right there. Hold on. There's also a what appears to be a freeze warning right there in New York. I think that's near Albany. A flood warning for part of, like, a tiny portion of South Carolina, tiny portion south of Jacksonville, Florida. Other than that, it just seems to be cold weather for the most part. It's in a couple of wind advisories. Tomorrow there's going to be some crazier storms, we'll say. If you're just tuning in, there's a slight risk out right now. For all of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, southern in Illinois. If you look very closely, this is really funny to me. Not like I'd say like two. Please close. I'd say like 2 miles worth of Indiana. A little bit of Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. There's actually a fairly large 5% outlook for tornadoes. Most of Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, tiny sliver of Mississippi and Louisiana. The 2% goes from northeastern Texas, Oklahoma, and eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, some southern Illinois, most of Indiana, which is kind of a weird shape. The western half of Kentucky, western half of Tennessee, tiny bit of Alabama, bit of excuse me, my mic just went out. A bit of Mississippi, some of Louisiana, a little bit of Texas, northeastern Texas. There's also a weirdly positioned hail risk. Usually when I look at these, the hail risk is right next to the tornado risk, like right on top of each other. But it's actually kind of shifted to the west compared to the tornado. This will be affecting DFW. This will be affecting a lot of cities in this area. I'm gonna say Tulsa, maybe OKC, DFW, Little Rock. I can't think of that city name for the life of me. Nashville. Is that Nashville? I'm so sorry, guys. Which appears to be Shreveport. Maybe Baton Rouge. Don't count on me for that one. They predicted this 5 days out. 5 days out, which is kind of a rare thing, especially for October. Current warnings, there's actually not very many warnings right now. Actually, to my knowledge, there's no severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings. Yeah, see, there's no convective warnings. There's a couple of wind warnings. Just a little flood warnings. It's tiny bit. And multiple cold weather advisories. I'd say tomorrow is the big day for this stuff. Since there's going to be a slight risk and a 5% tornado warning, or tornado risk, which I'm assuming there's going to be tornadoes. Yeah. Back to the storms. They're kind of in a bad spot for radars right now. At least according to this website. Actually, I could check my phone real quick. That would be very nice. So none of these are severe warned right now. They just seem to be a line of storms. I could definitely be wrong about this, but I think they might become severe warned. Because of how fast the winds are. They're around 30 to 60 miles an hour. Tomorrow's the big day. I will be streaming tomorrow. about this next weather event coming up. I actually haven't talked about today's risk. Today is a just a marginal risk through Oklahoma City area, some of Kansas, some of Missouri, that actually affects Kansas City, which is a pretty populated town or city, along with Oklahoma City, and is that Wichita? There's no severe warnings right now, but there probably will be tomorrow in my area as well. This line of storms that I'm looking at is just sad. Because I don't have enough radar coverage to look at those properly. Excuse me? Give me a second. I don't like this website at all. This doesn't appear to be a very organized area of severe weather. What is that? That could be interesting. Checking velocity on this, looks like a downburst actually. It's not severe warn though. The way that's weird. Appears to be in Osage County, Kansas, near Barclay and Reading, Kansas. It's just at a weird shape and velocity. Looks to be a downburst of some sort. Interesting. Never seen that before. Is that a wait? No. Alright, there's nothing going on interesting. I will wait for you tomorrow.